I watched the Kingsman movies. They were
an intro. This
so
isn't an intro.
good.
You didn't do it. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. The long-belated, thoroughly thought podcast. I am your co-host, Genesis Ruiz, and
I am Jonathan Rouse. Is that better?
It's much better. Now we've welcomed them into our home.
Welcome.
You absolute barbarian, just began assailing our audience, our kind and esteemed guests.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't even crossed the foyer, and you begin speaking of Kingsman. I tell you this, my friend, you took away nothing from that movie. For as if you recall, manners maketh man.
Manners maketh man. Well, you know what? I have welcomed everyone into my space.
Oh, this is about the lack of video. I see. So already we haven't even gotten in, and you have turned this into a battle of wits and wills. I see.
No, a battle of wits and wills, you would win. Oh, this is more a baddie of pettiness and no. Okay.
It feels good to be back in the suit. It feels good to be back.
It does. I feel cold personally, but it does feel good to be recording again.
I feel warm because I turned off my fan to reduce noise.
That's interesting. I left my AC going.
So you've just created an ice box that you now reside in.
Pretty much.
You know what?
I'm going to be honest. I don't think it's not even going right now.
It's not even going right now.
No, I think it just turned off.
You're still sitting in the residual cold.
I can't take shit outside.
Wait. You can't take a shit outside.
Well, I can't take my computer. Yeah, I can't. I am no barbarian. I cannot shit outside.
I understand.
Mm-hmm.
That's tragic. Truly a sad story. Anyway, before I absolutely sent us spiraling off course, you had a topic called watching Kingsman.
I watched Kingsman. I watched the Kingsman the other day. I just watched the second one the other day. I watched the first one a few weeks ago. Dude, those movies are so good. I cannot wait for the KINGSMAN to come out, and then the fourth one.
Mm-hmm. And then the fourth one.
I don't remember what the fourth one's called, but holy shit. They're so good. It's a prequel.
Is it out?
No.
Okay.
It was supposed to come out last year, but we all know what happened there. So it got delayed to this year. But it was so good, dude. I don't think I've ever really seen Samuel Jackson play a bad guy.
Yeah, I know, right? It's not really a role he's typically given.
Yeah. He did so, and then on top of that, and then he played like a millennial, like tech nerd.
Yeah, pretty interesting. It's a very different role than we see from him, really leaning into the lisp.
Mm-hmm. I don't think I've had that much fun watching a movie like that in so long. And then I watched him because I'd been wanting to watch him for a while, and then I finally saw like the 2-pack, 4K pack at Best Buy, and I was like, I'm gonna get that. And I got it and watched it. Huh?
I'm gonna get it.
I'm gonna get it. That. I'm so glad that I did. Dude, the fight scenes in that movie are so well done.
Yeah, they really are.
I don't know.
And then there's the woman with the prosthetic knife legs.
Mm-hmm.
All very cool concepts.
Very, very. It's so good at world building. And it's it wasn't afraid to like go like silly with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But almost by embracing the silliness is what made it cool.
Yeah, it was campy and it was over the top. It played itself straight while not taking itself seriously.
Yeah, like it really felt like watching like those old spy movies, like the old James Bond, which I guess is what the director took inspiration from. But like, no, it was so good, and like you're rooting for Eggsy the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if we should talk about spoilers or not, but it's been out since like 2014.
Yeah, it's hardly a spoiler movie at that point.
Dude, oh my God, the scene where he was about to shoot his dog.
Oh my God, yes.
Holy fuck. I was actually shaking. I was like, he's not going to do it. He's not going to do it.
Were you upset or were you glad that he didn't do it?
I was upset he was put in the position to do it. And then I was so happy when he didn't. But I think that was like the only moment where I actually did kind of like had an issue with the film, just because it's like I know he's gonna be in Kingsman, so like why are we doing this thing where he didn't shoot the, so he's not, he didn't get in, but then by the end he's in anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It felt a little contrived in that part, but I can forgive it because it's very quick.
I
And they
think
just get
um I think it was supposed to be a character moment, right?
mm-hmm.
I think it was that like this is what makes him special. Yes, everything can be telling him it's the right thing to do. It could be everything that he's worked for, his way out, but like he has a moral code. It's what makes him special. There's just some stuff he's not willing to do, and I think that's supposed to be important considering, his background.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that he came from the situation he came from, and he overcame, basically the struggles he was born into, really had no say in. And like it was just something about him. He didn't lower himself, to meet the expectations of the people around him, and he didn't do it to meet the expectations of the Kingsmen. It's a kind of consistency, and I think it was supposed to be, really establish that in him.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, that's true. Like, yeah, obviously, because they set up his character. It's like you wouldn't think that character, based on how you've seen him evolve throughout the film, would shoot the dog. You just wouldn't. You couldn't imagine that. But like, I guess just part of me is kind of like, it was just a weird sort of bump that I feel like could have been smoothed out with something a little cleaner. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you could get the same thing across in a different way.
Yeah, but I did really like like, because I thought the girl Roxy actually did shoot her dog, but then I liked like the reveal that it was a blank.
Yeah.
And he's just like, dude, I have my dog taxidermied in the fucking bathroom.
What a terrible spot to put your taxidermy dog. I love you, Fido. I'm gonna put you where I fucking drop a deuce. That's where you want to be, bud. Dude. And like, I can't, on another thing, I can't imagine a worse spot for it, right? Because like, at least if you put it like if you were to put it in your living room, right? And be like, oh, sorry, guests, this is my taxidermy dog. I know it's eccentric, but I love him. And here I could still pet him even though he's gone. It's just a bit of closure for me. And it makes him feel still close. You could be like, all right, it's a conversation piece. But imagine not telling someone that it's there, and they go to do their business. And then before you know it, you've got your pants down and there's a fucking dead dog mounted stuffed right where you're supposed to do your business.
Just fucking Mr. Pickles is looking at your pickle.
That's for real. Like, I saw that when I first saw that movie, and I was like, I lost so much respect for him in that moment. I was like, who allowed you to make this decision? That's crazy.
But in that, goddamn, I know it's Colin Firth, but I cannot remember his character's name. It's leaving my mind, even though I loved his character so much. Forgive me, internet. But I think that's just a subtle way that's showing like, yeah, he's still a gentleman, but he's got a sense of humor about him. Because it's like, come on.
Yeah.
You put the taxidermy dog in your bathroom. You know that had to fuck with some people.
Yeah, for real. But I think it was Galahad. I might be wrong.
Yes, Galahad. You're right, Galahad. The second you said that, I was like, it was Galahad.
Because they've all had their code names or whatever are Knights of the Round Table.
Yeah, I really like that too. It's like a modern, the Kingsman is like a modern Knights at the Round Table. God, it's so good. Like, I've been wanting to talk about this movie for so long. I wish I had like seen it more recently, so I really had the details fresh in my mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's been actual years since I watched it. Damn, although you tell you what, it's been more recent since I watched Kingsman 2 because I didn't know it existed.
Really?
Yeah, it was probably sometime near the end of last year.
Oh yeah, I just watched it like 2 or 3 days ago.
Yeah, dude, the Kingsman 2 is so good because like it succeeds in the hallmark of a sequel, right? Like, it expands on the world, it elaborates on the characters, it establishes like new concepts and plays with them well. Like, of course the agency has these kind of contingencies, and of course after this kind of I don't remember the details of the bad guy's plot as much in that one actually, but like I remember the villainous plot felt like a really strong continuation.
Right. Well, yeah, and I like, so the continuation for the villain was actually really good because she even makes reference, to Valentine. Samuel Jackson's villainous character in the first one. And then we see that in the end, when he like defeats all the rich elite people who are going to let everyone die, the one kid who got kicked out of Kingsman training, he was still alive. And I was like, oh man, because like the second I saw he was alive, I was able to like click like, oh, I know why he's alive.
He's set up for the next one. He's been highly trained, he's got connections, and he's got revenge reasoning.
Right. But I mean, like, even that, like, I think they said, I watched some behind the scenes, they said that the director and co-writer wrote the films with the idea of making a trilogy. So like he set everything up in the first one so nicely that it's just a nice package, right? It works on its own, but it also like
that's the foundation for a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's how you properly build a world. You make sure the first one it can exist perfectly fine on its own.
Yep.
And then, but you also make sure you leave enough there that you can build off of it. So like in the first one god damn it, I can't remember names, but the kid attacks Eggsy. Eggsy knocks him out with the taser, right?
Yeah.
Well, that breaks his chip. That's why he didn't die when everyone else does. And then you find that out in the next one. It's like, oh fuck, like that's so well. Yeah, it works so well. And I'm like, that's how you're supposed to do a sequel.
Yeah,
like that, where
there's enough stuff in the first one that you're like, oh yeah, that tracks. Of course, that's how that worked.
Right. I think the only thing that was a little, but I'm not going to question it because I love Galahad, was the fact that he came back in the sequel.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like maybe I'm just being super biased and I'm going to let it go because I still enjoyed the character coming back.
It was really, I'm with you. I felt like the decision to bring Galahad back was a bit odd. And like the situation they put him into, like.
Right.
Like, it felt weird and kind of gross.
Yeah. I enjoyed that they brought him back, but that was kind of like, it was a little sloppy, but whatever. I'll admit I'm just letting it slide merely because I like the character so much. But I will say this, they at least doubled down on how they brought him back because it did play a part later. So it wasn't just like a throwaway thing. You know what I mean?
I know. Yeah, it does make a kind of sense.
So I was like, at least they attempted to be like, okay, if we're bringing him back, we're going to at least use it to help explain a plot point or like a tool or something for later in the movie. So it doesn't just appear out of nowhere. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, at least you did that. That's good. I give you credit. One of the things I didn't like about the sequel was that they killed off like all the fucking Kingsmen. I don't know why. Yeah. I just thought that was lazy. I'm like, because again, the behind the scenes director's like, we want to see what Eggsy can do on his own. And I'm like, you can see that without needing to
kill off an entire organization. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something. It's something.
But holy shit, I actually think the villainous plan in the second one is like a lot darker and oh my god, it legitimately freaks me out.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she laced all the drugs and stuff, right?
Yeah, and kidnapped Elton John, the most horrible offense possible.
You fucking bitch. But no, and then obviously it came out in like I think 2017 or something. So there was like a Trump allegory with the president, but
right,
he wanted to let all the drug addicts die.
Yeah,
and seeing them all like boxed in the cages in the like football arenas and shit legitimately like unnerved me. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, holy crap, there's actually something about this which is just really uncomfortable and scary. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. It ain't right.
Yeah. I'm like, fuck, man. So I think that was done really well. Like that to me really set up the villain to be like super like, because that made me more like, holy fuck, like you all gotta put a stop to this. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. 1 second. Sorry, cough. I actually want to go back really quick.
Oh, go ahead.
The directors are full of shit when they say they wanted to see what Eggsy could do on his own, because they immediately walk that back with the introduction of like the American Kingsman branch or like equivalent in the whiskey brewery.
Right.
Like, immediately it's like, oh, we want to see what Eggsy can do. And then they're like, oh, the movie's kind of like actually kind of fuck all. And then they give him more people. You know what I mean?
Dude, that's so true. I never even thought of that.
Like, sorry if I ever end up working for and or with you, but that that seems like a kind of bullshit answer you gave a camera in middle interview, because that doesn't hold up to actually.
What happens in the movie? Yeah.
Yeah, because that absolutely was not what does Eggsy do on his own. It was, we establish high stakes, kill fucking everyone. Didn't they kill? Did the girl from the first movie stay dead?
Yeah, they killed Roxy.
See, garbage.
They
No more.
killed. They fucking killed Roxy, and then they let the princess, whoever, like stay alive. And it's like you literally saw her for no more than like 3 minutes of screen time in the first one.
Stop killing women for men's character development. It's
That's
contrived.
right.
It's lazy. We've seen it, and it's never been very good. Like in general, just like it's like she was just as competent as Eggsy, right? If you really wanted to blow me for a fucking loop, kill Eggsy and make fucking her, because like, oh, that would catch me off guard. If the protagonist from the first movie died, that would throw me for a goddamn loop. But making it the side character from the first movie and the love interest, no less, it's like, oh, we're here again. All right. And that honestly just made me so upset because I really liked her character.
I would argue she's actually a little bit more competent than Eggsy and a lot more devoted, because she actually shot her dog.
She actually shot her fucking dog. Yeah, for sure.
Because she got in before him. Fuck, what? Okay, I know Roxy was her name, but which knight was she?
I think she was Lancelot.
Yes. Thank you for remembering these things.
Years ago. Literal years ago.
Literally years ago.
I don't know why, but I don't remember who Eggsy was, though.
He became Galahad. Didn't he become the new Galahad?
Oh, shit, you're right, because Galahad died.
Yeah. Fuck, now there are two Galahads. One of them can be Merlin. Because the sequel also fucking so this is actually a huge problem I have with sequels. Maybe you feel the same way. Killing off characters you came to love in the first one merely for the sake of shock value.
Right? It seems like the worst way to pay off.
It's so fucking
I'm not
annoying.
saying it can't be done, right? Like there's definitely ways to do it and to utilize it.
Right.
But like, I don't know. It these days it almost feels par for the course, right? Like, God, fucking spent how many movies watching Marvel that Iron Man dies at the end? I don't fucking that was a joke. I joked on you.
You did. I sensed you were joking. I was like, that's not his real voice. He's playing a part. He's doing a bit. He's
playing the role of the fool.
Doing a goof right now. That's what I figured. Well, yeah, no, so it's interesting because for as much as I hate it when sequels do that, the Golden Circle actually does it in the worst way possible, but also like the best way you could do it. You know what I mean? So like Roxy, she's just killed off real quick in the beginning. I hate it when that happens. That's the worst way to do it. But Merlin is actually given like a send-off at the end after he's developed even farther. You know what I mean?
Yes. He was utilized, he was explored, he was fleshed out, and the movie was like, we want to kill someone off for shock value, and Merlin's the one to do it because we're not killing off our protagonist, and Galahad was already dead and we brought it back. So sorry, Merlin. Yeah,
so it's like, again, you're annoyed as fuck because it's like, God damn, like stop. But it's also like, okay, at least
I cried.
Gave him like
I came close.
Oh, it was emotional, and he's singing Country Road.
He's singing Country Roads, and it's
fuck, man,
so sad, man.
I'm not gonna lie though, because there was a part of me that once he died, that like there was a legit part of me that suddenly just went, I don't give a shit what happens.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, because it's just like you got to be careful when you do that at the end of a movie or at any point, because you could very well lose people. Now you could bring them back, but like at the end, like I as cool as it was to see it all get figured out, and I still wanted them to win. Like there was never a point where I was rooting against them.
Right.
The amount of how much I cared really, really dipped down. It took a fucking hit, and there was no recovery time. You know what I mean? So it's like, shit, you know? Like, yeah, you did it better than the people before, but the timing was not good. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think that there is something to be said for the fact that they put so much effort into sending Merlin off. You know, Merlin was kind of a staple character in a lot of ways. He, what am I trying to say here? I kind of agree that Merlin was kind of done at that point, right? Like to explore him anymore, I think would have been kind of redundant, but to like focus in on any of his other stuff, his traits, and like dial it up or flesh it out more, would just kind of turn him into like a gag. But I still don't know that he had to die.
I was gonna say that I think writers are becoming a real lazy because they think that once a character's finished, you have to give them the axe. You know what I mean? It's like you could have just as easily written him off, giving him like a happy ending, rather
like
than
if all the Kingsmen are dead, if there's a time to walk away, it's then. You know? Like no one's there to tell him no. The system's gone. The only other Kingsmen are your two good buddies, Galahad and Galahad.
And at that point, you feel like you're just stuck in the home of the Galahads, you know, and you're fucked. You know, what can you do?
Fucking Merlin just leaves instead of dying, and it's like, Agent Galahad, this is Agent Galahad. Here are recruits for the new Galahads.
But yeah, like that's to automatically think you got to kill the character off. I'm like, that's like you can be, and it kills me because I know they can be smarter than that. You know what I mean? Like you at least I can give them the credit that they at least put effort into it and gave him a good like send off where he sacrificed himself. But I feel like I still have the right to criticize and say that wasn't the only way out.
Yes, there was absolutely other things that could have been done that they chose not to do.
And they could have even faked it out, because I remember at one point, yeah, she said something like, "Don't forget to turn the mines back on."
Yeah.
And it's like you could have easily faked it out at that point, gotten the audience all, "Oh shit, no," and then, "Oh fuck, okay," you know what I mean?
Yeah, and then the mines aren't even on.
And that could have even played into the humor aspect of the series, but
that actually would have been hilarious. He's like singing Country Roads, people go to apprehend them, he starts beating their asses, and then he takes it off, he reaches the crescendo, he takes his foot off and nothing happens, and he's like, oh, and then he just gets the shit beat out of him.
Yeah, like that would have been fucking great, but I don't know.
I mean, that would be really fucking ironic if he took it off with a big finish and then they just beat him to death. Like that would be really dark and morbid, but funny.
Well, even like I wouldn't even say like, "Oh, they beat him to death." Like he could have literally just been like, "Oh fuck, all right,
taken
that was
him
all
prisoner."
And it's still
I'm coming from the perspective that they're still trying to kill him off.
Oh, right, that's fair. I mean, I think that also would have fit into the humor of it, but like I'm coming from like, you know, they still could have helped demonstrate how loyal he felt, like the loyalty he felt to his teammates. The last of the Kingsmen, that he's willing to give his life so that they can complete this final mission. And still like let him be like, "Oh fuck," you know.
So
and
like, absolutely, this is the end.
And
then it wasn't, but it was funny while we thought it was.
Yeah. I'm probably just super butthurt because they killed off one of my favorite characters, but I think that's good when you get that upset that a character dies.
Yeah, I think so too.
It could have been quite the opposite, and you could have not given a fuck that they died.
I think that's really that would be the failure. I think is if it's like, oh well, guy from the whole other movie died. I feel nothing.